Cleveland. And wait till you hear what Vegas says about their upcoming trip to Boston. Meanwhile, Tampa Tom's teammates talking. How wide open is his window? That answer might just surprise you. Plus, 300 million Instagram followers can't be wrong. Don't miss The Rock live on this morning's edition of Get Up, which starts right now. Delighted you are here on a Wednesday with us, and we are jam-packed and ready to go. Kmart is here this morning. Timmy Legs has got a lot of hoops to break down, and take a look. That's not all. The football crew is in full effect. Ninko is ready to go. Dan Orlovsky is here, and all of us last night were watching the Brooklyn Nets. Kyrie Irving and company at home, Legs, against Cleveland. Play in. Winner goes on to play Boston. Kyrie showed up ready, and boy, did he show out early for his teammate KD and everybody else.
Remember, I said yesterday was key to not allow early rhythm, and Kyrie certainly got into that, not missing a shot early on as we start here and getting into that mid-range game. This is one of the best this league has ever seen in the 15 to 18-foot area of the floor. Look at the handle operating. Cleveland gets around two defenders and the buzzer beater. Talk about taking some momentum into the locker room.
He was 9 of 9 in that first half, and the Nets had a 14-point lead. And guess what? He wasn't done. He continued the hot streak into the third quarter.
Came right out cooking again. And what a feeling it must be to not miss a shot in the first half. Comes out. This is his first look of the third quarter. Great ball moving KD, who was a great facilitator on the night, finds Kyrie once again here using the left hand, one of the best we've seen in his offhand finishes at the rim.
He was 12 for 12 at that point. Jay-Z was impressed. Kyrie finished with 34. But you know what? Darius Garland wouldn't go away.
He's special. He's an all-star this year. He has got an incredibly bright future. This is one of the great young point guards in the league, and he put them on his back here for a stretch to get them back to a workable margin. 34 points on the night for Garland.
He had it down to 6, but from there, KD would take over. He's a walking bucket.
A little bit too much to ask some of these 7-footers defensively to come over screens to fight out the switch. You could see KD going to 18, rising up, 6'11", high release. There's not much you can do about it when he gets to that shot.
One more from KD, who finished with 25 plus 11 assists, and the Nets get the win they need, 115-108. They are headed next to Boston.
Now they don't have Robert Williams, so they have less of a presence in the paint, and we could attack Al Horford and Tice. So them not having Robert Williams is huge.
What did he say? All right, man. That's caffeine pride talking. Take some before the game. We don't need to say like that. Let's just go out there and hoop.
All right, so an amusing little conversation after the game, but I want you to see what happened. So in the moments after last night's game ended, Caesars opened with the Nets as a favorite, and so much money came pouring in immediately that by this morning, that has already shifted, and the Celtics are now the favorites in this upcoming series at -130. And quickly, before we look to that series, Legs, just how about that little exchange there? Bruce Brown saying, oh yeah, we've got the edge without that guy, and KD wanting no part of it.
And KD made that comment because he's like, wait a second, I got to cash these checks because I have to go out there and match Jason Tatum bucket for bucket. Bruce Brown's a critical player, great role on this team, but Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving are the guys that are going to have to probably get 60 a night in that series, and that's why Kevin Durant said, come on, man.
All right, so help me here. So at the end of the first quarter last night, when Kyrie had gone off and the Nets were up 40-20, I tweeted something to the effect of, this is the reason nobody wants to see the Nets in the playoffs. And the world just killed me. Everybody losing their minds over the, oh, Greeny, it's one quarter, oh, the Cavaliers, blah, 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 blah. That night last night to me from Kyrie is the reason that I can't pick anybody to beat Brooklyn 4 out of 7 times.
It's a reasonable tweet on your part. It's a reasonable assumption to make after watching that because this is what they're capable of doing. And these are two guys that can win that matchup that's in front of them virtually every trip. Now, are they going to play as well as they did last night against a Celtics defense that I think is the best in the league? No, they're not. And if Boston can reduce their efficiency, even 10-15%, I don't know that the Nets have enough other options to go to create offense if these guys have a rough shooting night, which I think guys like Tatum and Brown and Grant Williams and Marcus Smart are going to be able to do to them. So, but this is exactly why you didn't want to play the Nets, because you know what these two guys are capable of doing on any given night. They give you a chance to win a game, which means you're going to be in this series for long term. Question is it going to be enough to overcome not only the Celtics defense, defense, but also the fact that Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown, they're going to come close to matching them bucket for bucket the way they've been playing down the stretch. They also have that kind of firepower on their side as well. And that's why I just think Boston's a better team.
These teams played each other. The Celtics and the Nets did at the beginning of March. I remember we were out in L.A. doing Countdown, and it was a great game. It was like right after Kyrie had been announced that he could play full time, and they just made the Simmons trade, and it was a great game. But to your point, the Celtics won. It was back and forth, and in the end, the Celtics made a couple of stops and had a couple of more buckets, which brings us to Ben Simmons. If the Nets are to get anything from Ben Simmons, how much would that impact the way you see this series?
It would impact it, but I don't think enough. First of all, look, we can talk about, offensively, he has no responsibility really after this long layoff, and that's fine. He could just be a pace playmaker type of guy and really have no other role in the offense. And then just say, okay, well, defensively, that's where it matters. And that is true, but here's the thing. Even defense, you're going to struggle a little bit when you've been out of the game this long. Klay Thompson alluded to it the other day. He's played 32 games and said he is nowhere close to the defensive player he was before that long layoff. So to think Ben Simmons could just come in and be a guy that's just going to drape Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown and shut them down when he hasn't played in 10 months, I just think that's unrealistic to expect. Clearly, he can have an impact because he's 6'10". He's quick laterally. He's got great size. He can trap guys after they beat him because of his length and get to the rim. But I just think it's a lot to ask a guy on this stage with this level of scrutiny as well, with the lack of conditioning that he has, to come out there, get thrust into a playoff series and be the determining factor. He will help. I don't think he will help enough to get past the Boston Celtics.
And very quickly, and this may not have been a primary on anyone else's mind, but I know Kmart and I definitely noticed it last night. And Jared Greenberg, no relation, was talking about it. Ben Simmons' outfit on the side last night. Can we roll that tape again, Chrissy? I'll give you a moment to roll that same VO we just did, because it started with Ben Simmons those are shorts, by the way, at the bottom of this. I'm not sure if we'll be able to see it, but it's a suit that has shorts at the bottom, and apparently it's made of lamb.
Lambskin, we were informed. I wouldn't have guessed that. It looks like maybe possibly pleather. I'm not sure. I had a sofa made out of that one time when I was in college because I couldn't afford real leather. But no, it's lambskin apparently. There's no question. It's very, very expensive. And they just forgot to add the bottom of it for his pants. So it is what it is.
That's my point. If he's wearing shorts, he looks ready to play.
He's enjoyed this fashion show during this run with the Nets. Usually he's got the aviators on. I mean, last night, he kind of toned it down a little bit, believe it or not, with that outfit.
All right, there you go. In one way or another, it's the Nets who go on. They'll play Boston. We will have Atlanta, Charlotte tonight here on ESPN, and the winner of that game will move on here in the play-in tournament to play Cleveland on Friday night. We'll have much more on the hoops as we continue in just a moment. Meanwhile, let me go to the NFL next, because the Bucs are at the center of the conversation. The Tampa Bay team, their voluntary offseason workout program has begun, and while Tom Brady is not in attendance, his brief return from retirement means there are high expectations this year, including those of his offensive tackle, Tristan Wirfs.
I think it just opens up the window, again. With him at the helm, everyone's always excited, and I was excited either way, but having Tom Brady back there and getting to protect him for one more year, it's pretty cool. I got to go delete my Instagram post, like a big thank you and everything. So I'll have to postpone that.
Yeah, we've seen that sometimes these Instagram posts can be premature when it comes to people's retirement. Kmart, I'll start with you. He says it reopens the window. What does that mean to you?
Well, now you're not talking about what do the Bucs do now. You're thinking, well, can the Bucs do it again? Just having Brady there, that changes everything. That changes the complexity of this team. I actually think this team will be good despite some of the roster losses that they've had. Record-wise, they were 13-4 last year. Their schedule is going to be tougher. They got 4 wins off of the AFC East last year. Now you're playing teams like the Chiefs, the Packers, the Rams, the 49ers, Cleveland, the Ravens. So the record may not be as good, but when you have Brady, I think you're straight.
Look, it looked like a team that, had they been healthy last year, may very well have made another run back. So when we hear about the window, Dan Orlovsky, what do you think?
Well, I don't care about their record. The Bucs are going to be in the playoffs. The interesting thing about the Bucs for me is, when I reference the playoffs, they are going to remind me of an NBA team or an NBA mindset. The Bucs will be in the playoffs. They are good enough, and the NFC is weak enough. How well do they manage this season to gear up for that 4-game stretch in the playoffs to play their best, to play their healthiest? And that's why I kind of say it's going to be like an NBA mindset where what they do in the regular season is not going to matter. We will scrutinize it. We will pick it apart. We will ask the question, can they win the Super Bowl? Every answer to that is going to be yes. How healthy